And there they are, the reigning champions of the OPL, the Direwolves, looking to take on new challenges in order in this, a very crucial best of 3 for both teams. It's only week 4 of the OPL, day 2 brought to you by Hungry Jacks, but both of these guys would be treating this game as is a precursor of a mini final, at least a playoff game. It's a big one for both of them.
Yeah, a lot of people are picking these two already to be playing off in the grand final of the end of this split, so I feel like, as you say, a little precursor to that matchup. It's going to be big for the players involved.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, Order is kind of a team that took portions of all the teams around the OPL, but they left the Direwolves untouched to build a team that could potentially challenge for the throne, and that means take down the Wolfpack. And so far, it's looked okay. Yeah, they have looked good, but they've played a bunch of teams at the bottom of the ladder so far. They haven't played a top dog. And I think I called this team an amalgamation of talent built to beat the Direwolves here. So as you said, from Legacy, from Sin, from Chiefs, built to take on the reigning champions in Direwolves here. We get to see it today. Yeah, certainly do. But Direwolves still have one of the most formidable top sides of the map in the OPL. Chippy, Shern, Triple. Just, they're all such class players. And last week in particular, played so well against each other. Yeah, around each other. Yep. I think Triple, the last one you added onto that list, though, is kind of that's kind of the interesting part of the map, right? Trippy and Shern has been tried and tested. They've played together for so long now, and they have been shown to be one of the best top jungle duos in the game. And now you add Triple into that mix. His last 4 games, he's played something on Malzahar, so can obviously facilitate in that way, but we'll see if he can step up in this top-of-the-table clash against Order. Yeah, and at the same time, you also have to have a look at Order's bottom lane, because this is a lane that time and time again just seems to eke out advantages no matter what the matchup is. So whilst Direwolves scary top side of the map, bottom side of the map is an area that is facilitators at the best of time, and Order will look to exploit that. Yeah, 100%. FBI looking happy on your screens, and now onto Rogue. They have shown that they've been pretty versatile. They've played the Brute Force, Braum, flash forward lanes, but they've also played the Caitlyn Janna to a great success there. I think out of all of the teams that have shown a sort of fast push strategy, the Orders was probably the cleanest overall, so they've shown that diversity, and I think that's very important going against the top dogs in Direwolves. Yeah, it certainly is. And before we get into that, I want to break down the top lane. It's 2 Gangplank players as we bring them up onto your screen. 2 big Gnar players. However, Chippy's, for me, at the moment, is reigning supreme. Yeah, I think 100%. Mimic coming in is the big contender for the most part, I think, for most people, the Korean import on Legacy. But first game looked a bit iffy. Second game looked okay. Tally, someone who was a couple of years ago touted as possibly the best player before Chippy's really rose to prominence. He was competing with Swiper for that role. They play very similar champions, but Tally, for the most part, for the last year, at least on Legacy, was put on the Maokai, was put on the tanks, didn't really have a chance to shine. So now on Order is playing more of these carry matchups into the top lane. And obviously the meta suits it. The man on your screen right now has shown, do not give him Gangplank. And I think that's a big thing that Order should be taking away today. Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have a look at Gangplank players, these guys are 2 of the best. I actually think on blue side drafts, if Gangplank is up and available, both of these teams will be very willing to pick it first. However, the big question is does Chippies have a counter pick? And does Tally have a counter pick? Because both of these guys are actually known for unorthodox top laners. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Tally play like Trundle, flex them. Actually, no, that was... No, he did. No, he's picked Master Yi, sorry. That was his counter pick back in the day. He's played some weird things, and obviously Chippies has the Olaf counter pick in his pocket and has for a very long time. I mean, we talk about Chippies, an incredibly in-depth champion pool, I think, for the most part. But, I mean, talking to Swiper early in the day, he says off the big top 3, I think these players aren't too successful. So, cheeky insight. All right, see how it breaks down. To get Swiper's further input onto this game, let's throw it over to the Armored Titan himself and Laura.
Thank you, Jake. We're into the second series of the day, the Direwolves versus Order. The battle between first and second place on the leaderboard. Swiper, you used to play with a lot of the guys on Order. What's your thoughts on this series?
I think mentally it's going to be a big thing for, in particular, Spooks. Going up against Shern, who is arguably the best player in this region at the moment, I would say uncontested. If he can put on a good performance against Shern in this series, it would probably set them up for the whole split. But at the same time, like, that's going to be in the back of his head. The nerves are going to be there. Like, I want to see them success. I really do. I do want to see Order success, and I want to be the person that beats them. I don't want Dials to beat them. I want to be that person that beats them. So, I don't know. It's really hard to say because Dial's top jungle is just, like, so strong. Like, Chippies and Shern, 2 really good players. And I would say Tally is consistent, but coming up against them too, it's going to be very hard. At the same time, I think Order's bot lane is extremely strong, and they probably have the advantage over the Dial's bot lane. So It's going to be a lot of cross-map plays. I'm gonna call it probably a 2-1 to Direwolves if I would have to predict something, just because, yeah, Chippies and Shern, they're really strong. And yes, I agree with Bryce. I think after the top 3 picks right now, it's going to be very interesting to see what champions they play, because they keep getting them champions. But I don't know, they might just give them the Gangplank versus Nar matchup. I could see that as well.
I think all eyes will definitely be on Order this game. The Direwolves have already proved themselves with their results last year, but I am going to give it to Order 2-1 just because I think it'll be really fun to see someone take down the Kings. But remember, if you'd like to make your own predictions at home, head on over to opltips.com.au, where we have some cool prizes up for grabs. You could get a $25, $50 or $100 Hungry Jacks voucher, as well as some XP boosts and RP prizes. For more information on those prizes, make sure you head on over to the website at opltips.com.au. Thank you once again for your thoughts, Swiper. But to get this series underway, let's hand it over to your casters.
Thanks so much, guys. So in the end, a little bit of a split decision there.
Yeah.
2-1 either way, however. If it does go to 2-1, what I do want to point out is the OPL weekend will have gone the journey to all 12 games.
That's a longie.
I would be pumped about. That would be hype.
Yep.
However, but let's not delay this anymore. Let's bring the rosters up onto your screen. It will be the Direwolves on blue side. Chippies is their superstar top laner. Shernfire is their jungler. Triples their mid laner. King and Cupcake are their AD carry and support. And then Sharp, for me, best coach in the region right now, leading his squad from behind the chairs. Of course, they're going up against the boys from Melbourne. Order, Tally is their top lane, Spooks is their jungler, Swiffer is their captain, shot caller and mid laner. It's going to be FBI and Rogue down there in the bottom lane. We've talked about them a lot. Want to, however, talk about someone that you played with a lot of the time, Spooks, and the impact that Shern returning from Korea actually had on the jungler.
I mean, I do agree with what Swiper said. This game will be big for his mentality. I think he's a very confidence-based player and gets a lot of that confidence based on what people think of him. It doesn't come from internal for the most part. So Shern coming back in 2017 when Spooks was reigning supreme, you were saying that really beat Carbon in that Brisbane final and kind of stamped his mark as the best jungler in the region at the time. Shern coming back from Korea, kind of taking over that throne, I think has had it for the longest time now, all of 2017. An absolute machine in the jungle.
And already priority being thrown at Swiffer in the mid lane, kind of echoing Swiper's thoughts that if they allow Order's mid laner to get out of control, could potentially swing that split map. It is going to be a Rise as well as Zoe and Nar taken away by the Direwolves. Gangplank Braum hits the bench from Order. Is that just negation that they're looking to get rid of down in the bottom lane? And is it?
I mean, potentially. We've seen Braum, if Order do want to play the stylistic matchup, play bot side, whereas we think Direwolves will play top, right?
Oof.
Braum does so well, as they do look in the alley, at negating those ganks, at negating that pressure and being very hard to dive. So potentially there, as we see the alley.
Yeah, and potentially this is going to be the first time. Previously, we've seen Direwolves prioritize things like Malzahar, things like Tahm Kench, a lot of reactive champions. See whether Order now take away Kalista and something like... I mean, Rakan is available, although it doesn't fare all that well into Alistar generally. Yeah,
I mean, with the Kalista, though, it makes the matchup all that harder. We haven't seen Cupcake on alley too much. We've seen, because of Triple's last 4 games have been on the Malzahar, they put so much priority on blind picking that. It means that Direwolves tend to second, third rotation that Tahm Kench. So we've seen Cupcake on these very safe reactive picks. They don't lock in their support on the side of Order just yet.
Don't have to. Instead, they take away a priority pick in the Sejuani. Kha'Zix, insta-lock for Shern, picks his own champion, sends a message, and it's going to be Ezreal, a safe AD carry down there in the bottom lane, although we've seen scale very well in a game today as Dream was playing that one into a very similar matchup.
Yep, it's going to be another Ezreal blind pick, so you have to assume Order are going to match with a support counter pick. Here it is the Taric for the alley, so not quite as strong as something like a Kalista Thresh or a Kalista Rakan, but still does have that CC, still does have that setup, and fares very well with the Sejuani going, and you can stun off her engaging. And especially against an assassin like the Kha'Zix. He's fully committed if he jumps into a team fight, so if you can get that Taric ulti down, Shernfire might have a rough time playing around
That's
that
what I was going to say, and important for FBI, because if he gets jumped on by Kha'Zix but doesn't die, which will be hard because Kha'Zix does a lot of damage in an isolated scenario, if the ultimate comes down in time, he will be able to lifesteal back up. That is one thing that we talk about, Kalista. The prolonged team fights certainly go her favor, and Taric is another tool to add to that. Camille will be taken away from Chippies on the top side of the map. Obviously, maybe a priority pick coming out here. Ornn Vladimir. So top laners, they're going to be searching real deep into champion pools right now to pull something out.
It's interesting because this meta does mandate that you see a lot of top lane blind picks, but We won't see that one this game. And honestly, interesting in terms of the bans. Malzahar coming out so late. Direwolves have played the last 2 weeks worth of games on that Malzahar. That is a long time for Triple to spend playing one single champion, and then
a blind Syndra in a meta that Syndra has just not seen any priority whatsoever. I think it was played once in the North American LCS by Bjergsen, I want to say.
Yep.
Was played last week, I think, also by Shock. Or was that this week? Maybe this week.
That was last week. Tectonic played yesterday, yep. So, Shock played that one up already. Swift going to get his hands on the Syndra. Looking pretty happy about that one, and it will be the Talia, or Talia rather.
Yeah. And it's important to note, I think the reason that Syndra is able to be blind picked here is because Shern showed Kha'Zix so early. So if you're playing into a beefy front line, you know, you're playing into Maokai, Alistar, and then let's say that's a Zac as opposed to a Kha'Zix, you're like, I can't ulti anyone, I'm not going to be able to get to the back line. However, with Shern diving in, potential for him to be blown up by the Syndra, it's going to be a Jax.
Yeah, Jax is someone we see in the jungle. We saw Sybil playing that one yesterday, but this is actually going to be a top Jax, blind picked, and I mean, stylistically, this makes sense. The top side of the map is where we expect Direwolves to go. They have a Kha'Zix, they have the Jax, nice scaling, and they have the wave pressure, the push out of triple on the Talia. But then if we look on the other side of the map, they are going to try and negate that with a Maokai in the hands of Tally, but a very strong bot side. They have the Kalista, CC set up Sejuani, Taric. So it's playing out how we would expect.
Yeah, I think that...
it's got to come down to execution.
Yeah, this game comes down to only execution. They've split the map already. Going to be negation out of... So not an aggressive Alistar lane.
Yeah.
Although Ezreal can go aggressive. Does a lot of damage if he lands skill shots into what is a very powerful gank, at least, coming in for Order in the bottom side. But Jax Kha'Zix will rip apart Maokai if they're able to spend any extended duration there.
Yeah, but I do need to note, we've talked about the strength of FBI and Rogue as a bot lane duo, but King has shown himself to be one of the most graciously losing AD carries in the region. I think he's the only one that consistently does it well, and I can't understate the importance of that in a matchup like this against Order, who have shown they just want to play around their bot side.
Because Direwolves play the game correctly. If they say we're going to win top side, they do cede bottom side control. But what King does is he does it in such a way that he's not giving up 50 CF discrepancies. He's not dying as his turret goes down. And then it gets to team fights, and he's just oh so relevant, which helps out so much. Because if you have a split pusher, your 4-man unit still needs to be able to fend off the 5.
He's very good at knowing his limits, what he can take without being hard punished in the bot lane. We're taking a look at Shern right now on that Kha'Zix. I do need to note Shernfire, one of the best Kha'Zixes on the server, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And he's a red smite as well.
Does a lot of damage.
Does so much damage. Terrifying, terrifying man.
And he's the kind of jungler that will sit in a bush in the jungle and just try get a cheeky 1v1. So, see if we can get that one this game.
Yeah, as we stream onto Summoner's Rift for the battle of first versus seconds right now, it's Direwolves taking on Order. Let's check in with Laura, who's standing alongside with Sharp.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, I'm here with Sharp. You're going up against Order today, the team many have said was created to dismantle the Direwolves. How has this affected your preparation coming into today's match?
Well, to be honest, I would say that our preparation's been pretty much exactly the same. We're a very internal focused team, focusing on playing our game. Although they are very respectable, got a lot of respectable players on their roster. Definitely a few players on there to watch out for. So I guess in terms of preparation, very much the same.
Order have pulled out a Syndra blind pick. How do you think that goes up into Talia? And was this something that you came across in practice at all?
I mean, Swift is one of those players. He's been around for so long, so he can play so many different things. Yeah, honestly, Swift is one of those players that he has such a wide champion pool, so we weren't really too sure what he would play. But Talia is a pick that Triple has been known to play for a long time, so I'm quite confident in Steven being able to pull out ahead in that matchup.
Well, taking a look at your team's composition, what needs to happen? What needs to fall in place for them to take this game?
Without giving too much away, I think that we've got a pretty strong jungle pick for Shern. Kha'Zix very invade heavy, so I'd expect to see a lot of pressure coming out of Shern and to see how Order can react to that pressure.
Well, best of luck with this series, and thank you for talking to us.
All good, thank you.
Always good to hear from Shah. Obviously taking this game very seriously, but the one thing I will say about Direwolves is I very much respect the we think about us mentality.
Internal.
And they do. They don't give a crap about anyone else in the region, to be honest. They think about what they need to do to win games and see whether that does come across in today's matchup.
And to just recap what happened at level 1 whilst we were in that interview, Order with a 3-man stack on the top side and didn't find anything, but level 1 Triple pushes in the first wave, obviously has much more wave clear than the level 1 Syndra, places that ward at the Raptor camp, so Direwolves know exactly where Spooks is doing this red buff right now.
Yeah, however, does get through first clear uncontested. See whether the junglers crash on this top side of the map. They must know. And actually, Chippy's has gone forward, and Shern's not there, so in goes the Twisted Event. This will be Chippy's stunned up, and this could be potentially first blood for Tally.
That's a huge play for the Order lineup right now. Direwolves, we were talking about the strength of the top side of the map.
Swiffer is in trouble. He needs to burn a flash here. Will do so, but Shern cleans him up. Direwolves hit back.
Just as we praise Order, Direwolves get the recount there. Swiffer going down, burning both summoners. That's a big deal. Advantages going both ways. Gold leads semi-even right now, but Chippies is set behind.
And arguably, though, top lane, you just teleport back. You're going to catch a big, fat minion wave. Mid lane, much more unforgivable to die because he has to walk that one all the way back. 2 minion waves denied from Swiffer. That's going to be an 8 CS advantage. However, kill went on. Ooh, stun going to come out here. And yeah, FBI takes a little bit of harass. However, good return here.
Yep, Cupcake going to take a little bit more, so... As opposed to the first set of the day, we've seen fights in 3 lanes so far, and we're only 3 minutes into the game.
And I think this is what we can expect to see. You need to protect Maokai in this matchup to the point where he gets a little bit of tank stats, then he can just protect himself from the turret dive, not really be picked on all that much. However, Rogue and FBI have just shown that they 2v2 fight, and at a certain point, Cupcake and King will have to be able to return fire in this matchup.
Once again, Rogue going for that stun, does land. Shernfire about to run into Spooks. They see him, but has the backup of Swiffer behind him. As one would expect, the Spooks and Swiffer duo.
And green smite Kha'Zix. Shern not going back to that solo queue style that Sharp said that he had in week number 3. Instead, a lot more control going to be coming out.
But it's pretty interesting given that he got the kill onto Swiffer. Wasn't first blood, so not quite that amount of gold. But does base early, get that item, has a longsword over Spooks, but yeah, interesting. He doesn't want to punish the 1v1 matchup into Spooks. Assassin into the tank.
I also want to point out something Shern just did, and I think this is important because I think when we talk about Shern, we talk about his mechanics and his raw ability and all those things, but he's also a very smart jungler. He knows that right now Order want to control bottom side of jungle. So he doesn't throw the sweeper into river to clear that. Instead, he throws it back into his jungle and clears out all that vision, which was honestly all the wards that Spooks had at this stage of the game. So Order now have to either record or refight for that, or play more respectfully on the bottom side of the map.
Yep, so 0 out of 2 wards available for Spooks right now. Direwolves, the bot lane, they have pressure right now. They push that one in, looking for a little bit of shallow vision in the river. You do have to note, Infernal Drake for the battle of the top of the table will be the Australian Dragon, the Oceanic OPL Dragon for the first game.
And I think like the way they got tempo from that, because I was like, well, how the heck did they push them in, is actually Minion Dematerializer has been picked up by Ali again. So they use that minion, the ability to chunk out a cannon creep to be able to just shove them in, get some good vision bottom side control. You see Shern now going back in top side, looking for Spooks again.
Wait? No, he doesn't. Just getting some vision right now. No camps available on the top side of the map, but Triple's level 6. Does he look to pull the trigger? Tally is very high HP, sitting just about full, so they don't want to pull off a dive just yet.
It depends when he dings 6, because level 5, you can dive a Maokai. He still goes untargetable, still gets health back from that sap magic, but it is possible. However, level 6, when he has that ultimate that comes out, just snares everyone up, nearly impossible to take down.
Not to mention, already, because of that first blood, has a Bramble Best.
Ooh, King is actually going very low.
TPs are available for Order, but not for the Direwolves, so they have an inkling that he's here. He walked through that ward in the Tri-Bush. King
and this is
really
what you were talking about. The ability to just back off from the turret, play respectfully, not give anything away right now. And Spooks has wasted a little bit of time, however, might be able to pick up a camp for himself.
Yep. Shernfire
actually, they're going aggressively onto Rogue. Damage is Ignite's actually out onto Cupcake.
Unfortunately, not going to get a whole lot of damage there.
That
Cupcake holds his. Yeah, it was Rogue sitting on a very low mana pool right now, as is FBI. Spooks behind Shernfire, but not gonna fight each other just yet. Shernfire just walks him out of the jungle, says, "Get away from my red buff."
And Spellbook picked up for Cupcake. I like that because we keep saying that Order's going to want to push in on their bottom lane. It's got them really nothing so far, and Cupcake now full health will be streaming back in, looking to stop some backs. Actually will be able to see how much damage goes across as he's looking for the stun as well onto FBI. Took a lot more health than he maybe should have though.
considering that Order are trying to recall here, they want to get a base off. Schönfire showing his head, so they want to push them out. Cupcake comes back to lane after TPing immediately.
This is a blue
uses half his
invade.
HP.
Swiffer is He'll try and steal this one away. Actually goes for the stun instead. And Spooks has to take it. In comes Talia. Swiffer is completely No flash. Mid laner of Order dies.
And that's 0-2 for Swiffer right now. A nicely timed invade out of Direwolves. They had priority because of that cancel in the bot lane. Are they looking for a dive? Rogue, very low.
They certainly are. Everyone is here. And that is the True Shot barrage coming out already. Teleport will be channeled.
He does commit.
And completed. So they're just trying to shove them off this turret. Tally looking to protect FBI and perhaps secure a recall.
Yep, Tally, despite his wave pushing in, he will lose some CS. Feels like he has to commit to the TP, otherwise, if he cancels,
I mean, if he cancels,
will wait 10 seconds and they just dive again when the wave pushes in. So, correct decision out of him, but unfortunately, not going to net him a whole lot of an advantage. But yeah, Direwolves, 2 kills onto Swiffer already on this Syndra. Talia lane makes that a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, at a certain point, now Merc Treads are out. If you go towards something like a snowballed Banshee's Veil, this mid lane pick will start coming out. Trumps will be able to ignore all the magic damage that is coming out of both Spooks and Swiffer. Spooks also is behind in jungle camps at the moment. Just Sting's level 6, whereas Shern's been there for a while.
Both junglers on top side of the map right now. Not a whole lot of vision because we just had that bot side fight. Schönfire going to give over the blue buff to his mid laner. You have to expect pings going out into the river. But so far, the side lane's even for the most part. Chippies obviously down in CS a little bit because of that first blood up to the early gank for Spooks, but gold advantage within 400 gold. And we were saying you think the bot lane for Order, but the top side for Chippies. Not the case right now. It is the mid lane that has the biggest advantage, about 800 there, 900.
And Shern just doing what Kha'Zix do best at the moment, running through mid lane. You see such a big advantage for that 2v2 duo. Triple using that to be very aggressive on Swiffer. He has the blue buff. Swiffer does not.
And the hardest thing for Order right now is Spooks accidentally aggroes the dragon. Going to take a few fiery breaths to his face, but not going to care too much. The hardest thing for Order in terms of resurrecting this mid lane for Swiffer, right? He's 0-2 down in CS. Obviously, the stopwatch is still available for the Talia, but he also has Cleanse, so it's going to have to be a 2-rotation gank. Spooks coming in, might have to invest the ulti or the stun's going to have to land from Swiffer, but they're not going to get the kill on the first try. So if they do try and gank that lane again.
And we were talking about how in game 1 of Legacy versus Chiefs yesterday, the Talia won bottom lane. And I think what we're seeing here is actually a referral of pressure from Triple, being able to shove in the Syndra over and over again. And actually, stun goes out. That will be... Oh, they go and they commit. They're going for the Ezreal still. See where they're able to pick it up. You see Cupcake burns the ultimate. Chippies has TP. They do not have it on the side of Order, so they will back away. Shern's still going in, very aggressive. Stun does not land. Chippies is behind the turret. That will be the ultimate out there, invulnerable for now. But all of the members of Direwolves are in this bottom lane. Stopwatch 1 is burnt. Stopwatch 2 is burnt, but that is already 2 kills. Flash by FBI. Huge stun from Swiffer. Will pick up the back end of this team fight. Triples also has to use the stopwatch under the turret. Flick will miss, but Order stave off a dive. It is a 1-for-3, 2 in the end?
Seems fairly close as the wall's actually coming through. They're diving again.
Yeah, they want it again, so they go for it. Triple stun up underneath the turret. Will use that cleanse, but in comes Chippies. They clean up the back end of the dive. The Wolfpack and now up 3,500 gold.
And that is a delayed ace for Direwolves. It seems like Order just bit off more than they can chew. The TP advantage for Direwolves. Also the global ultimate, the wall available from Triple. He has that priority, and you were mentioning the transferal of pressure from mid to bot. Direwolves play through that. And they just overreach. You have to think that's going way too far. Cupcake here buys some time. They can't actually get the kill onto King. And he's still able to do damage here. Obviously, the TP comes through on the back end and they hold the dive for a moment. But Triple right now doesn't have access to the wall. But this engaged right there onto FBI means he gets caught back again. CC'd late again. A lot of stopwatches coming through. So it looked okay for Order. It didn't look like a complete disaster. But they just stick around far too long. A big stun comes out of Swiffer. But the re-engage, the secondary dive comes out from Direwolves as well as we speed this one up. This wall, Triple goes to the left, and Order can actually see him. They know exactly where it is, but they think they can outplay the dive. And unfortunately, as you mentioned, that's going to be a 3,000 gold deficit very early in the game.
And I think the biggest thing here is that... Oh, actually, no. I was going to say they got the turret, but they didn't. They actually leave the turret very low, and instead, Tally got the top lane turret.
Had a lot of time by himself. Obviously, the TP still not up, so he couldn't interact with that play.
Ooh,
so it's a 4v5, and the gold lead swings back.
Yeah, Swiffer
Nearly
now in a little bit of trouble. In comes Shern,
Plans.
will be looking for him, so falls very low. Plans not available, however, Swiffer just lives there.
Both mid laners get out very low here. Junglers hanging around, but Cupcake is walking up on the Alistar. Tally actually wandered his way down to the mid lane, so that gives Chippy some time in the top side of the map. That CS lead still there for Tally, but you have to think gold on the Jax is going to be much more effective than gold on the Mackay there. So
depends how the game plays out. Because if the game plays out to Chippy's style, 100%, he's going to split push for days. At a certain point, he's going to have lifesteal. He's just going to bully Tally around. However, if it gets through a team fight, Ezreal hitting Maokai is probably not the situation that you want either.
Yep, absolutely not. But taking a look at the other gold values, it was about a 1.5k lead for the Taliyah there.
Yeah,
and that is the big thing.
Triple
1
is a
and
monster.
3 versus 4 and 0. Swiffer. Syndra's a champion. It's kind of like a gear check. If you survive, if you just survive her all in, if she doesn't have that kill pressure, then she really doesn't offer a whole lot. So Swiffer, I think, going forwards in this game, will struggle to find relevance. They're looking at the Infernal right now. Yeah,
certainly are. That's a risky pickup because we've already mentioned that it is the mid side of the map that is falling down. Teleport advantage for Tally, however, means that potentially they can go for this. Swiffer goes back mid lane, and the rest of the Order team are committing 2,500. They're going to go for it. Shern dances into a brush, 1,000 health left on that, and they will actually just get rid of it. However, Triple still very strong. Headbutt pole combo onto them, and Shern is just behind the entire Order team. Tally actually cancelled the TP. FBI able to pick up one. Shern on the back end does not find anyone. However, Rogue now flashing the wall will get out. 1-for-1 trade. However, Order get the Infernal Drake.
And such a split fight. You mentioned can Direwolves, can Shern get more? The ulti comes through. Swiffer very low.
He goes in. He actually gets knocked up out of his jump. Shern just stopping recalls. That might be mid lane turret, however, for the Direwolves, which is a good trade at this stage of the game.
And Tally committed to the TP the first time, but that time he does actually cancel. Uses the ulti just to try and hold the turret here. Yeah. Just going to back away, but very split fight. Shernfire finds the kill onto the AD carry. King on the back end also picks up FBI. So, very split fight. 1 kill to 1, but as you mentioned, Order do pick up that Infernal Drake despite the gold lead.
Yeah, Scaling Drake out for Syndra. Potentially, as you said, in that gear check can maybe get her a little bit more relevance. However, look at the gold that Triple is sitting on. He's already picked himself up Morellonomicon. He's got boots too. He has a blasting wand for crying out loud. He is an absolute monster. And he's 2 levels over Swiffer right now.
That's the big thing. He's level 11, 15 minutes into the game. And Swiffer is a long way away. Going to have complete control of this mid lane. That's the hardest thing for Order to deal with right now. If one of your lanes just loses complete control, you can play on the other side of the map. But when it's the mid, it means you kind of lose control in all 3. Your side lanes can't play aggressive because Taliyah can just get there with her wall so easily. Shernfire playing around that so effectively. You see those pink wards in the side lane bushes of the mid lane for Direwolves. Right there and on the top side as well. It just means Triple has so much control. He can cheat into either side of vision and threaten that ultimate, and Order have to respect it.
And you just know every time you go for this, there's a potential that a bug just jumps out of a brush.
Yep.
No fly spray handy right now, so he won't fall down very easily.
So Dwayne's got a flail. I don't think fly spray existed in that era. You know? I don't think they had the technology. Aerosol cans.
However, that is going to be a kill onto the Kha'Zix. Looks like both ultimates were expended. Spooks in a little bit of trouble here. Triple still just dancing around, throwing another rock, as he says.
Yeah, we didn't see the start of that one, but Shernfire still has flash, so you have to think a bit of an overextension there. Yep. Ultis burned from Spooks and Swiffer, so despite the gold lead in the mid lane, they do pick up a kill there. Nice bit of control back temporarily, and the gold lead is fairly even right now. Only 400 across the entire team.
Lots of damage going out onto King, and potentially going to be able to shove in. There is a teleport advantage right now for Chippies in the top side of the map. Was very relevant last time. As Tally looks okay, although Chippies returns fire in a big way.
Yep, does he have the counter-strike? Probably not. Already used that one. You have to think this matchup in the 1v1 is only going to get worse from now on for the most part. Once you get to 40-ish minutes into the game, it becomes about the time investment. You know Chippies will eventually win the 1v1, but just how much does it cost? How much time do you have to spend there hitting
the Kha'Zix into bottom lane. Again, ultimate already out from Rogue. Stopped a lot of the damage coming across. See whether they can turn this one. Shern still wants it. Taliyah is coming in. That will be an ultimate across, and they might just content themselves for the Taric. No! He gets out with the Fate's Call, so good deterrent of a dive there from the Order lineup.
They barely survive. Triple looks for the double play, wants to flick back FBI. Unfortunately, that means Rogue gets out scot-free as well. Fate's Call rips him to safety. This will give Spooks some time in the top side of the map to beat around a Rift Herald, but...
And it's a nuanced play, right? Chippies, you're like, why aren't you hitting the top lane turret? But he knows that a dive's happening bottom lane. He knows he has teleport advantage, so he respects it. He might need to get down there for the team. He backs away one more time. We talk about the brute force that comes out of Direwolves all the time, but they are way more intellectual about the game than I think we give them credit for at times.
Chippy's got to spot out that this is happening, but just so low, can't contest at that stage. Schönfire taking his red buff on the opposite side of the map. Checking in with the leads in the mid lane as well. Only one level between them right now, 12 to 11. So Swiffer has ticked over that level 2 ulti mark, so that's a big deal there. That kill doing wonders for the mid laner.
This actually seems to be the real battle that is going on in this game. Bottom side river control.
Yeah.
You see like Order go up as 4 members. They clear out the pinks. They get a kill. This time, Triple as well as Cupcake and King march up that river together and they try and clear it out.
And it's just the sign of a cohesive unit when your team works together to get that vision control. When your support linking up with your jungler, walking through. Order.
Potentially looking for Shern here.
Yeah, they have no ultis available in the bot lane though. Yeah. So, could be risky, but they don't choose to pull the trigger on the play. Their turret is very low, so they give that one up for their time.
I think what they were doing is like, we can't go to the turret.
Yep.
So let's look for an opportunistic play. If it doesn't work out, we just back away. We give up the turret anyway. That will be a 2,000 gold lead right now for the Direwolves, playing this early game very nicely.
Yep, Kha'Zix, very squishy champion, so if you did face check that corner looking for the turret, and they do get the CC down, they could have picked themselves up a kill and a nice little 2v1 before Schönfire made it a 3v1.
Spooks is looking for Shern again. He throws out the ward and says, come on, mate, come pink it.
But he didn't. Schönfire, oh, they see each other
actually, now they see each other. Who's going to get here first? It actually looks like supports will be there. In comes Swiffer. See whether they go for the ultimate. However, Shern jumps into Rogue and Spooks flashes after him. Picks up a kill. Teleports are being channeled. And it will be completed by Tally. So he throws out that ultimate. See whether they drop something like a Rift Herald or whether they want to continue this play. Spooks has it available. They could break mid lane turret, and they actually go for it.
And despite picking up the 1 for 0 there, Tally kind of TPs in, wanders around for a few seconds there. Didn't actually chase onto Triple. Potentially because he had that cleanse available, knew he couldn't get on top of him, but Jackson the top side hitting that turret. Order are looking for the mid lane.
Yeah, and Dragon is back up and available in 8 seconds. Didn't check out which one it was, but there is a potential that now as 5 they can go back towards that. However, you always have to be worried about this Jax getting out of control. It's only an air drake, so they'll just deploy back to lanes, I think.
Yep, nobody cares about that one. But Schönfire finds himself caught in the river. Of course, he does a lot of damage, but when you have a very tanky Cinder Hulk Sejuani with a Giant's Belt.
They're actually looking for Swiffer mid lane still. You see multiple members still there, and boy, oh boy, that is some damage.
Yep. Order have not based in a long time. Swiffer, low mana. Chippy's actually just ignoring Tally here. Wants the red buff.
Yeah, however, FBI is coming over. Blast plant secured by Chippies. He's very good at the game.
Yeah. A lot of people muck that one up, you know, when they Q to the blast plant, they hit it immediately.
It
bounces you the wrong way.
Yeah.
No, but he holds his auto there. Tally tried to hit it, but unfortunately, the dash got him there first. Means Chippy gets out scot-free with the red buff. Snake that one away from under his nose. Spooks just catching a mid-wave right now, which we have a little bit of a reset for the auto lineup. They hadn't based in a long time, and because of the pressure Direwolves, we're putting on the mid lane. Means they all back at once.
That was a huge wave that was stuck in a freeze, and Shern actually goes and shoves it a little bit. You see that Tally's about to grab that one. Hasn't still got himself a Sunfire Cape, so there's no real way that he is able to clear the minion waves in the split push. You can see he's built purely for the team fight, it looks, right now. Maybe he can go towards an Iceborne Gauntlet. I'm trying to, like, how the heck does he just keep Jax off turrets? I don't think he does anymore.
I mean, it's about the proactivity of the 4, right? He's never going to win the 1v1. Building for that 1v1 is going to be ultimately futile, so building that Righteous Glory, obviously not the best tank stats, but does mean his engage potential when he does TP in is significantly better, can catch up to the mobility of the Ezreal, of the Talia.
And you can see Baron is now the objective of choice for Order. They already got a pink in there. Direwolves instead looking to control mid lane. They go for Shern, miss the ulti. However, they continue to go for it. Shern will be blown up here by Swiffer. However, he lives due to the heal. And in goes Cupcake. Big headbutt pulverized. They're now a sardine in a can. You can see they're just being peppered by skill shots, and they cannot get out. Triple is a monster on the back end of this team fight. Rogue will fall down. Swiffer is already dead, and Order have to head for the hills. In goes King over the wall. They pick up another one. So close to picking up FBI as well, and that should be Baron for the Direwolves.
And Order commits so many resources into Shern, but at the end of the fight, he does not die. Sedge ulti misses. Syndra ulti is not enough. Direwolves at the end. Nice engage at a Cupcake. Triple corrals them into the bush. And there's just nothing they can do. They die. And that's going to be the Baron going over to Direwolves, not to mention the gold lead hitting about 3k.
You can see exactly what Order wanted to do. They wanted to catch out Shern. They wanted to be able to turn onto the Baron buff and be able to take that one down. However, Shern makes a courageous call and goes back towards it. Great flick. I actually think Triple is the unsung hero of this fight. Here's the wall, jumps off on the right side, and he's just putting so much damage into the back line of Order, and they can't turn around to pick up the kill onto him.
And there's just so many forms of micro CC coming out. King applying slows to everybody with those Qs, so safe to do so. Triple landing flick after flick, as you say. That Q, that was very close.
Off screen, Jax died to Maokai somehow.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Don't know.
Maybe he went for a dive under the turret. I mean, you don't think Tally's going to be 1v1
again over the wall. Shern has to hop away.
They just want to kill Shern. They don't care about the Direwolves. If you kill their leader, they all fall. They all crumble. That's the strategy. Yeah, they're like a colony of ants, you know. that's the
kill
strat.
The queen. Kill the queen.
Yeah, but they've had mixed success. They have picked up Shernfire before, got themselves a nice little 1-for-0, but they try it once more and get aced almost. But the A-Rams coming out right now. 5 members of Direwolves in the mid lane, 5 members of Order in the mid lane to counter.
I think Order just need to take a deep breath. I don't think they can fight right now. We've seen time and time again, Triple's just doing too much damage. It's going towards a Banshee's Veil. Shern has been picked up a couple of times, as you mentioned, but it hasn't slowed him down, really.
Yep. I feel like he's playing a very risky game right now. In behind enemy lines multiple times, and we see this 1v1. Chippy's instigates, and he's just going to dive him. Tally, buying time, got the heal from his passive there, hit him with the auto attack, CCs him, ulti, double CC, slow out from the Righteous Glory, and the last tower shot will pick up the kill. Maokai versus Jax 1v1, and Maokai wins.
Yeah, mid-turret did fall down, and you can see FBI is still on the top side of the map, so Order obviously not looking to fight for this one. They're going to fall even further behind the Direwolves right now. It's about a 6,000 gold lead, and map control aplenty. However, good news is that I don't think Jax has Baron.
No, I would have died. Lost the 1v1.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that they can say is going in their favor right now.
Yep. Tally sitting 2-0-0 on this Maokai right now. Order have their TPs available. They just haven't been able to find one of those flank plays. Interestingly enough, the Jax comp versus the Maokai comp was the first one to pull the trigger on a bot lane dive, and unfortunately for Order, did set the snowball going. So Direwolves now about 6k ahead right now. This is where they thrive. They have the side lane pressure in the Jax. He's ramping up. Just finished his Hydra, Titanic Hydra.
Oh, interesting that he's gone Titanic.
They have this split push available. Talia so far ahead of the Syndra. They're 5 kills to her name. Already picked up the Void Staff. A whole item ahead over the Syndra.
There's still 2 levels up as well. Shern went fishing. Will be able to pick up the red buff.
Yep, and we've seen Direwolves with this sort of lead against the bottom tier teams in the OPL. Seen them play it very calmly, very collected, and close out these games. Oh, as they were actually trying to give that one to King. But unfortunately, Cupcake's like, no, I'm an angry cow. I want the red buff. But let's see if Direwolves can pull out a same sort of victory.
Shern looking to cheat through jungle camps, looking for that pick, looking to see if any Order members do take the shortcut through here. Talia wall will cut them off.
Yep. And you have to say they were probably going to get that one anyway, but they didn't have vision of the Order lineup. They're sweeping out those wards, sitting in the bush, rotating between. So the ulti coming out from Talia just negates any sort of play from Order, means they get that one 100%. That's another turret going over to Direwolves. 5-2 right now. Gold lead at about 8k, 7k rather.
And I think right now, the map is just exactly where Direwolves want it. They're going to force Order back into their base. They're going to continually take away jungle camps. Still a 3,000 gold difference between Swiffer and Triple. So majority of that gold sitting on the mid lane. And you can see that they're just trying to take away all the additional resources. Order really are praying for a miracle team fight.
Yep, they need a numbers advantage. They need to be able to get onto someone isolated. Start off a team fight where Tally can TP in before Chibis can do any significant damage. You have to think Direwolves right now, as Cupcake has swapped out his combat summoner for the Ghost, so at this stage of the game, just looking for engages. You have to think Direwolves are just waiting out the Baron. Just going to wait for that one to spawn up. They have the top side control. They've already got some vision.
Yep.
They're just pushing in the waves, going to wait for that objective to respawn and then look for some sort of fight. They're actually a very good team at setting up that number advantage. A lot of times, the Direwolves Baron is when Chippy sets up in the bot lane and they just TP in 5 minutes immediately with all 5 members of the other team up and available. But that's a few minutes away here, so...
You can see straight away. Tally gets some priority over the wave. Direwolves just play respectfully. They back away. Shern gets a good ward there, and they're going to be able to spot him out. So unless Tally gets a play in the next, 10-ish seconds, he needs to go back and defend that turret. And then Direwolves just have free reign to set up their control over the Baron.
The Baron timer does come up. That's 2 minutes left until that one will be up and available. As you mentioned, Tally just going to go catch that wave. It's just the ebb and flow of a good macro game here. 1-4. Facing off against the 1-4 composition. So whoever has priority in the side lane gets control in the 4.
But Spooks is doing a camp on the top side of the jungle where he really doesn't have much business. They will now know. However, not punished for it.
Oh, they're just setting up that vision around the Baron, setting up those flank wards, Chippies. I mean, Jax, in terms of a split pusher, is also a decent team fighter. If you don't know he's coming, if he gets a stun onto Swiffer or FBI, that is a huge deal. They can layer that with an alley combo, layer that with a flick from triple. So much damage can come through.
He's gone, I feel like he's gone Titanic Hydra in this matchup, purely because the Bramble Vest is there at a tally. And he's like, well, I wasn't going to lifesteal in the auto attack trade anyway, so I want to be more team fight relevant. And it certainly is going to be. If he goes something like an Adaptive Helm into Asterix, it will be nigh impossible to kill him.
Shern fight, just poking his head around the jungle of Order once more. 45 seconds on the spawn of the Baron. Order are trying to get back some control, grouping up in the topside jungle, very tentatively checking this one. Pink wards in the bushes as they walk past. Gonna pick up a cheeky camp, but King, cross-map ultimate hits the top wave, so they're just trying to keep that one pushing in. Order haven't sent a member up there yet.
Also a minute away, as we see Shern potentially looking for Rogue. Does get the slow out. Does he jump in? No.
Stun lands, but no
That's
commit.
a scary thing. Like, this is why people hate playing jungle, to be honest. As Tally now being aggressed on. Because Swiffer is set so far behind. He's level 14. He's 2 levels behind Triple. But if Shern jumps on him and Swiffer Q ultis him, he probably still nearly dies, which doesn't seem all that fair.
I mean, in fairness, if Shernfire jumps on, no matter how fed your AD carry is, he's just going to eat him alive on the Kha'Zix. So Assassin should be able to be one-shot if they do misplay. I think that is the point of an Assassin overall.
Potentially.
That's the counterplay. You don't want Zed one-shotting everyone whilst being 4k HP. Flick, very close. Cupcakes onto FBI.
However, Headbutt Pulp doesn't hit, but Rogue is in big trouble. You can see already chunked so low. They need to get out of dodge here. Ultimate comes across, and that will just be the Locket burnt. See whether he goes back to base or if he just heals up. Big creep wave top lane. And Jax is actually on the Baron already. Order do not seem to know. Blue Orb, however, goes out. That's a good Talia wall.
Oh, they do. They block out every member. Spooks might just have to flash for the steal. He does have it available. Nobody playing Gatekeeper, but can Cupcake keep him out? He can. Ultis.
Oh, he got it! Spook steals the Baron, goes in by himself, and will fall down, but Order will look to stall.
How did he get that Baron? Cupcake has both summoners, could keep him out of the pit if he just committed, but Spooks works his way around the CC. They're looking for the top side of the map here. Swiffer burnt the stun, but no. But that's a big swing. That should have been Direwolves Baron, but Spooks somehow manages to get himself over the wall. You don't expect him to throw the ulti. You think at that point it's way too gone, way too far gone, but he gets in, Q, flash, over the wall. Barely picks up the smite fight.
And you can see FBI looking for Chippies in the brush. He had a Taric just behind him.
Yep, Chippies didn't know where the Taric was, so didn't want to opt in for that 1v1. Does just choose to pick up the wave, and we see this once more. Spooks is one of the only people on that roster of Order that can actually make it over the wall already. See, he layers the ultimate damage with the flash over the wall. Cupcake tried to combo, but
Shern smited.
Way too late.
Smited, took it to 84 health.
Yep. And Spook says, thank you very much. This is going to help them stall out the game, and that's what they needed. 8,000 gold lead for the Direwolves right now, but Order have the Baron, so temporarily have map control. Dragon is up for Mountain Drake. They're going to look for this one.
Yeah, they'll be able to pick that one up. And is there a point in this game where the 5v5 teamfight of Order is just better than Direwolves and they'll be able to pick it up? Or is Direwolves always going to be able to split the map the way they want to?
I mean, 8.2 meta, it is so hard to split push. That's why we're seeing games go on for so long, because it's just so easy to stall out. If you have the wave clear available, and not to mention Baron control just becomes so important because tanky lineups like the one of Order, they have the Taric, the Sejuani, the Maokai. They can always just start up an objective to force the split push to burn his TP, and a split push without a TP just means a 4v5 on the other side of the map. So,
Order actually calling the bluff right now as they're going to aggress onto Tally. He will fall down very low. He's a tanky man. However, Order with Baron buff are just racing them in bottom lane.
Yeah, Order, you have to assume he's going to win this 1v1. Oh, sorry, win the base race. Tally stalling off as best as he can.
They can still keep going. No recalls really, apart from triples, have been started.
What are
now
Direwolves
finally
doing?
Direwolves will back away. But that is going to be base cracked for Order.
Do they get more than just the turret? Do they commit for the inhib? They do. Schönfire got his base cancelled. Tally
However,
knows
now
where he
they're
is.
behind him. So this could be the team fight the Direwolves are looking for. Chippies is there.
the
In
flank.
comes Cupcake as well. Interrupt onto the stun. That will be the invulnerability, but a huge knock-up out of Cupcake. In comes Tally. Ultimate will be there, but Cupcake and Journer on the back line. They're trying to kill FBI, but they cannot get him. And Tally is unkillable right now. Cupcake on the back line still, but still, Tally is alive somehow, and it will just be a 2-for-1 trade. But Order are looking to push into the base.
And Direwolves get the flank, and they get the engage they want, but Rogue pops that ulti at just the right time, keeps his carries alive. And Tally 1v3 survives much longer than Schönfire 1v3, so Order win the fight, they take the inhib, and they're going to take the red buff.
And all of a sudden, that split push becomes a little bit harder for Chippies to achieve. Such a great flank out of the Direwolves, but the Taric ultimate is just the big nope button in that. And Schön, he's playing reckless. He's diving into the whole team.
Yep.
And he's dying for it.
Yep. Wanted to pick up that kill. As we see this one more time, the flank coming out. The engage is good. This is a good engage if you don't have Taric ulti, but all the damage lands as they're invulnerable here. Tally gets into the front line, CCing so many members, and King and Triple are both hitting one member. And we mentioned FBI gets out the back of that fight. Schönfire is already dead. Cupcake's ulti's worn off, so he's just going to fall down. That stun very close to landing from Swiffer onto Chippies would have meant another kill and potentially meant the game, but barely misses, so they only get the inhib.
And this is just, what a great game of League of Legends.
This is
Just
close.
sit back and enjoy a 4-1 comp versus, you know, a death ball comp from Order. Who would have thought? The finesse is just overwhelming. But Direwolves, I mean, the Wolfpack is just, time and time again, this is a split push comp that is looking very close in team fights.
Order committed to the top side of the map right now. Chippies will have some time with this turret. Tally doesn't have TP, so he doesn't really want to match. Order looks like they're going to have to race this one.
Yeah,
they're going to get the turret.
They take the turret and just back away. In comes the Weaver's Wall. They go forward. Cupcake has been stunned. Has to burn that ultimate. In goes Schön. And they are going to be able to stun up Cupcake. You see the flick is there. They fling a wild ult at Schön, but Cupcake still somehow falls down. And you can see Chippies still working on the structure. This is going to be a 3v5 Order, looking to try and push this base race to the limit. However, they go in triple. Stunned up. No, not going to be there. Taric ult is available, and Chippies is still in Order's base. They have to back away. Someone needs to deal with this,
They get the inhib. Can they get it? Schönfire looking for the poke, but no. Order with the members. They're looking for triple.
Yeah, they are able to land the stun, but Rogue dies. And Chippies is on Nexus turrets. No teleports available. That is going to be Spooks going back. However, they will look to corral
the
Spook.
flick.
Swiffer falls down, and all of a sudden, they will just look to kill Tally. Or FBI going back in onto King. Such a strange fight out of Order, and this might actually cost them the game.
And a really strange setup from both teams here. Jax in the bot lane, setting up for that split push, and Order go for the trade. They're like, hey guys, he's on our inhib. We're going to take this turret. We're going to push through, potentially look for a fight, but a nice wall out of triple.
Yep.
They're actually TPing for this. They're actually looking for the end of the game. 30 seconds on the death time is across the board.
Certainly is. However, Spooks looking to just hold the creeps off the inhibitor turret. Still not super creeps there just yet. That will be next wave. So he's just looking to kill them before they can hit the turrets. Cupcake trying to keep them alive. In goes Schön. Spooks still has flash, but is going to potentially fall down. So 27 seconds still on the top laner of Order.
No
47
creeps.
seconds on, and Rogue is just going in, flashes away, trying to stall, trying to delay. but that's another member dead, and you feel like this is just game right now for the Direwolves.
Can Swiffer hold? 1v5, Jax is very low, but you have to think Direwolves should be able to do this. FBI coming up just now.
And they have to fight. In goes Cupcake. He grabs both carries, absolutely rips Order apart, and Direwolves will take game 1.
Oh, what a close game. Back and forth. Reminiscent of the series we saw last week. Order in the base of Direwolves after Direwolves commanding the game for so long. Throw their current advantage. Direwolves turn around, TP into the base, pick up the win.
I'm telling you, Direwolves, intelligent team. They call the bluff. They say we are undivable in the 5v4. We're just going to continue to kite back. Triple is way too big, and Chippy's ate all the turrets on the bottom side of the map. That was Order's game to lose in the end. They had the game where they wanted. They clawed it back with a great Baron steal from that man on your screen. However, Direwolves still able to eke out a victory.
That's a heartbreaking loss. To be honest, on the side of Order, that was an incredibly close game. Have to highlight Triple in that race at the end of the game. They're walling Order in, forcing them to commit to the play. They do get onto Cupcake, but killing the Alistar was not enough. They could not get enough time on the inhib, just meant Jax.
And miss executions from Order. If that ultimate hits Shern, potentially they blow him up. All of a sudden, it is a 2v5.
Yep.
And Jax is like, I have to recall. Ultimate out of Tariq was a little bit late. He fell down very low before it even came out. They weren't able to get onto Triple time and time again. So, you know, a death ball comp, not able to death ball because just a little bit of misexecution.
You mentioned the Sedge ulti. If it hit Shern, he was playing with fire the entirety of that game. Fell down a few times, but the few times it didn't work did bait Order into that false sense of security. And then once they fall down, once Direwolves have the time to be able to, like, look, we're going to just stall the bases. They have so much chase potential in the Callista, keep hopping forward. They have that Kha'Zix, sorry, in the Ezreal with the Frozen Mallet. They have the Kha'Zix slow with that W, easily chases them down. That was exciting. That was so close.
Game. That was an absolutely amazing game. But Dire was able to eke it out. So to break that game down further, let's throw it over to Swiper and Laura.
Thank you very much, guys. And what a game it was to kick this series off. The Direwolves looking to take back the #1 spot on the leaderboard. Right from the get-go, Swiper, you said you were a big fan of the Taliyah Kha'Zix combo, and you think it won them the game.
Yeah, I think it's Direwolves' strengths in a nutshell right now. I think Fire, the entire team just wants to play around him. They want to get priority, and they want to help him invade. I don't think the invades went amazingly that game, but the Taliyah in itself, just like getting the mid priority, there's not much that can match that. It was just kill threat that Order relied on. I think Triple played amazing that game. And yeah, like his roam's bot, just in general, like he just had a huge performance. I'm super impressed.
The Direwolves had great awareness around when they had advantages in the laning phase, and we got to see that play out in that team fight in the bot lane. Walk me through it.
Yeah, so one of the big key aspects here is that the Taliyah has lane priority, and we have TP advantage, like Direwolves have TP advantage top, so I really don't think Order can be overextending for this. I think blowing the flushes was probably a good thing to do, but as time goes on, like, you can't be overextending that far when both mid and top lane have priority, and yeah, like Direwolves obviously play it pretty much as well as you can, and like even after this, I think Order had the opportunity to back off from turret and give the turret, but another big carry play by Triple, just walling them at the like very sneaky play. Yeah, super impressive his performance overall.
Looking at these, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, sorry. I would just say that that play right there would cemented the game for me.
Yeah, looking at these team fights, the Direwolves had great positioning and also pacing. They knew exactly when to go in. If you were Order, you know, you're friends with two of them, what would you say to them to get them going for this next game?
Look, I think the game would have been pretty much over if Spooks didn't steal Baron. So, like, I think that was a really hero play. And they turned it around from there. They had the team fight positioning on track. They just made a few mistakes later on. Big props to Direwolves. I think the boundary awareness in team fights and overall just mechanics are pretty unmatched in this region at the moment. I would see that they would just 4v5 team fights all the time. But yeah, going into the next game, I just think Order can play the same style. They just need to probably get bot lane a little bit more ahead.
We'll have to see if they can pull it back. But we asked you at home to send in your questions for Swiper to answer, and we've picked out 5 for him to answer right now. The first one coming in from Andrew, who says, who's the hardest person you have played against in the OPL and international games?
I don't know. Probably Flame. I think internationally, I versed him in WCG in 2013. That was pretty much the biggest wake-up call for me as a player because I didn't actually watch competitive League of Legends very much. I just got absolutely just destroyed by him. And I'm just like, holy moly. Like, this guy is now my idol. I'm going to live by the way that he lives. Anything he does, I do. Domestically, I probably think Flares. And I always wanted him to come back to Oceania to get my revenge. But never happened. So
You'll have to take it to him.
always a sting. Always a sting.
Our second question comes from Trey, who asks, what's the best tip to learn macro gameplay?
I'd say for macro is probably individual VOD reviews. Watching, for instance, like some OPGG solo queue VODs on, for instance, I do it on a guy called ORD from EDG at the moment, and just watching his map movements mid-game overall just helps you. As long as you have a correct mindset when you're VOD reviewing, I think that is pretty much the only way you can learn macro other than just instincts in solo queue, which is never the case.
Our third question comes from Nathan, who says, if you could have the ability of any anime or league character, who would it be?
See, I feel like there's too many to think about. The Armor Titan just sign ult mid lane. Like it's pretty much already a thing. Just like the sign ulti in mid lane, it's pretty much what the Armor Titan does in Attack on Titan. If not, just probably Saitama from One Punch Man, because who's gonna beat him?
How would you use the Scion one in real life, though?
In real life?
Yeah. How would you utilize it in day-to-day life?
Maybe just pretend I'm like a truck or something on the road and just like just drive down the road. You know what I mean?
I'd love to say that. Our fourth question comes in from Sonicky, fan guy. Thoughts on Fantic's notebook/scrapbook? We got to see it yesterday.
So we have a few at home waiting. He's actually lost the first one, so we had an even better one. So yeah, we just went to the we didn't actually go to the shop. It's just laying around the house. Can't be bothered buying an actual notebook. And this thing, it has the God's gift, I reckon.
It's like
it's
his
the God's gift. Yeah.
prized possession.
Yeah.
Our final question comes in from Emerald, who says, hey Swips, what is your most favourite skin for Gnar, Aurelia and Fiora?
Well, Elnar is my skin, and if anyone uses that skin in competitive, they are no longer my friend. That is my skin only. Parvo, I'm looking at you. What was that Aurelia skin?
Aurelia.
Infiltrator, I think. Yeah, that was my OG Aurelia skin as well. And Project Fiora, because it's essentially an anime skin.
That one's my favourite too.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Probably top 3 skins in the game, I reckon.
Big fan of the Project skins.
Yeah, I am. I'm a big fan of the anime skins.
Thank you everyone for sending those questions in. We're going to hop up to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have Game 2 between the Direwolves and Order.
The members of Direwolves are in this bottom lane. Stopwatch 1 is burnt. Stopwatch 2 is burnt, but that is already 2 kills. Flash by FBI. Huge stun from Swiffer. Will pick up the back end of this team fight. Triple stun up underneath the turret. Will use that cleanse, but in comes Chippies. They clean up the back end of the dive. The Wolfpack and now up 3,500
And that
gold.
is a delayed ace for Direwolves. Nobody playing Gatekeeper, but can Cupcake keep him out? He can. Ultis.
Oh, he got it! Spook steals the Baron, goes in by himself, and Chippies is still in Order's base. They have to back away. Someone needs to deal with this,
They're
Jax.
getting in here. Can they get it? Churnfire looking for the poke, but no. Order with the members. They're looking for triple.
Yeah, they are able to land the stun, but Rogue dies. And Chippies is on Nexus turrets. No teleports available. That is going to be Spooks going back. However, they will look to corral
the
Spook.
flick.
Swiffer falls down, sorry.
But you have to think Direwolves should be able to do this. FBI coming up just now.
And they have to fight. In goes Cupcake. He grabs both carries. Absolutely rips Order apart. And Direwolves will take game 1.